All right, a little quick nod to the greatest trilogy of all time. And you heard that right. There's nothing to be disputed in that. All right, welcome back. So we are doing take 2 here of plumbing. And sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to take a step forward. So far on this job, I feel like we've taken 4 steps back to go 1 step forward. So anyway, we had to redo our plumbing line here, and that's what I'm working on here. And at this point, I suspect I'm going to have to redo the plumbing, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to do a water test here right now to make sure that we're getting proper drainage. And the issue that I was having is the actual drain line all the way in the back there is sitting pretty high, and they were able to get away with it because the tub insert that was in there allowed them to do that. But now that we're doing a shower pan, the issue we had is basically we had to do almost like a double P trap, and double P traps do not work because it does not allow the air to vent. So here we go, take 2, rip it all out. Yes, it sucks, but I'm glad I tested it because we ended up doing it the right way. So in order to do it the right way, you see that drain line's pretty close to the subfloor there. We had to build the shower pan up a little bit to be able to make it work and drain properly. So that's taking our 2 steps back, but it's worth it to get the job done right. Alright, so we got some time real quick while I'm putting in some fittings here for me to explain why Back to the Future is the greatest trilogy ever. Number 1, the acting. Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox, 2 iconic characters that are absolutely timeless and phenomenal in all 3 movies. Number 2, the music. It's, again, iconic, phenomenal music. Number 3, the special effects. Unbelievable special effects for the time, including just the flames of the DeLorean going through. Number 4, the DeLorean. Tell me, can you look at a DeLorean and not think Back to the Future? Number 5. I don't need a number 5. It's just fact. The greatest trilogy ever. So, don't comment and tell me why I'm wrong, because I'm not. And I'll tell you my favorite part about this plumbing. It's coming up right here. It's when I'm done. Goodness, this was a pain in the butt from top to bottom. Left to right, up and down, north to south, east to west. Just sucked. So we're wrapping up putting this P-trap in, and our drain ends up working perfectly, which is fantastic. So we can move on, cover this up, and start making a shower out of this. I swore we were done. Dude, this guy works so slow. Just put some water in it. Test it already. Come on. Who cares if it works? Just be done. Could you imagine how bad that would be? To get the shower in and then it just starts leaking underneath. It would suck. That's my biggest fear. So particular when I do this, just to make sure every single thing is very well taken care of, because you don't want to have that mistake. Because this is really easy right now while it's all open, and if you mess up, it becomes really, really challenging and really expensive for you. Wow, that was a little tease. All right, so this is the next day. I let all that glue and everything set up. I didn't want to rush it. So now we're testing it. Come on. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. And that water just flowed perfectly. It's a beautiful thing. And that's going way faster than what would go in a shower. All right, so we're gonna get this all covered up, sealed, and put to bed. So we will never see that again. That's why you want to make sure it's done properly. And then we will move on to drywall, which is already in. But now you'll be able to see me do it. So real quick note, if you ever do decide to do a niche like this that you build in and do it yourself, do not put the waterproof membrane over the 2x4s. It does not adhere well, and the moisture in it will warp those boards. So put some drywall over it. With the material I'm using a Schluter system. You do not have to use green board. You can just use regular drywall, and that waterproof membrane can go right over it. So that is what I use, and I am extremely comfortable in that. And I can make this drywall look fairly sloppy. I mean, it's all going to be covered up, so you don't have to spend too much time on it. Just make sure your edges are good, that meet up and they're square. But you can have a little bit of gap between the boards. It's not that big of a deal. All right, so now we are getting ready to set the pan here, and this is just a high density foam board, styrofoam, with a waterproof membrane over top of it. And so just cutting it to fit our final size here. And I'm a huge fan of the Schluter system. So when you set this pan, as long as the subfloor is level, then the pitch on this pan is going to be perfect. So you always want to double check that to make sure that your pitch is right, so it's actually draining properly, but I've never had an issue with it. What the heck was that? We need a better editor. All right, so now we're cutting the curb to length. And again, you can see how easy this is with the multi-tool. A little hacksaw here at the end. This, like I said, this Schluter system's just so nice. It is very, very user-friendly. And it also is a very high-end product that will stand the test of time. And that's what you want when you're dealing with a shower, because you don't want leaks. All right, you see here that we need to raise it up. This is where I'm trying to find what that height is. So when you need to measure things, you'll use what I'm using there, and that's called a tape measure, and that will help you find measurements. And you can use both the imperial system or the metric system, and we are used to the imperial system here in the United States, and that would be inches and feet. So here's the first ½ inch going on. A little trimmy trim. Whee! Alright, nothing exciting to see here, folks. Yet he shows us. Alright, second layer going in. Yep, looks pretty good. And bingo was her name-o. Alright, so one quick thing to note here as I'm doing this, you want to make sure that you put plenty of screws in because you do not want any movement in those boards underneath, because that movement will create movement in the shower pan, which can create movement in your tile and bust grout and stuff like that. So you don't want any part of that. So put plenty of screws in. Alright folks, we're wrapping this video up, and I will say in the videos to come we are actually going to be putting the Legos together and building something and making it look good. So I appreciate it. And Back to the Future is the best trilogy. No debate, period.